Hey guys, this is Kenny over at learnhowtoprosper.com, and I have a hub off of there at jobs.learnhowtoprosper.com. And what I'm going to have you do, if you'd be interested, when you come to the Tech Hub, Tech Career Hub, you're going to see under Learn, it has this career guide. And I'm going to go through each one of these in the coming podcast because I think this is really, really helpful for building a mindset and a skill set that is truly valuable. So let's talk about the translator mindset. First of all, the most overlooked and most valuable role in technology. This is 30 years talking now, having participated in a number of roles inside tech companies. Let me just say this: the highest leverage position in tech isn't the best coder or the deepest architect. It's the person who translates business needs into technical solutions and technical results back into business value. Honestly, that is, and they keep talking about AI and AI is going to take over and it's going to ruin the world. Um, what I'm going to share with you in this and other podcasts with related to jobs here in the tech market is this type of mindset and skill set is very, very difficult and very, very rare. Now, you can use AI to help you be exceedingly productive and effective in this, but let me just hit some of the high points here. And then I want to invite you to come and watch this, or you can listen to it if you want, because I have a little reader here. But let me just say this: in almost every organization, a costly gap exists between two groups who rarely speak the same language: the business team that knows what the company needs to achieve, and then, for example, process orders faster, reduce customer churn, expand into new markets, but they don't know how technology works, okay? And then the technical team knows how to build complex systems, but they often don't understand the underlying business goals or the financial impact. So in essence, a great place to be in all this is the person that can, in essence, do just that. You're a translator. You understand business speak, you understand tech speak, and you translate those needs back and forth between these two groups. What translators actually do: a translator, whether their title is solutions engineer, business systems analyst, operations manager, tech consultant, they spend their day doing something most technical people find it comfortable: talking to non-technical people. Yeah, and really it's a lot of fun, honestly. I love understanding the business, how business works. And let me just say this. They sit in meetings with executives, listen carefully to business problems, and then convert those problems into technical requirements that the engineering team can act on. When the engineering team delivers results, the translator converts those results back into technical or back into business language: cost savings, revenue impact, efficiency gains that executives can understand and act on. Guys, that's it. That's the key. That's the secret sauce. And it's kind of interesting because I got my degree in mental health counseling. True story. And I have an identical twin. He worked at a company called Novell. He got me on at Novell as a technical support engineer. Well, I was so accustomed to really talking to people, listening to people, as a mental health counselor, really understanding their problems. It was kind of interesting because after the first month as a technical support engineer, my manager came to me and he says, "What in the world are you doing? Customers love you." And I'm like, I don't know, because from a technical standpoint, I wasn't that great. I was just barely getting started. But what it was I was just clearly understanding the problem, clearly setting expectations, and then uh, delivering on those expectations. And as it turns out, that's really all people want. Well, after less than a year, I had an opportunity to move into a lab position. And in that lab position, I was setting up, large labs for people to come in and duplicate problems and to duplicate networks and things like that. And I learned a lot about technology in that role. And after about 9 months, I moved from that back to the team that I had started as a technical engineer. I was now the manager of that team, all within about 18 months. And I credit that to my ability to listen and to translate. And I'm telling you, it's kind of interesting because for the techie people, because most of the people on my team had their degrees in like electrical engineering, computer science, very bright guys. But in the end, most of them they just stuck in that career because they didn't improve their skill set. For me, I found it easier actually to learn technical skills than it is to really operate at that, business human level. I think that's really important. So that has served me extremely well in my career. Then I've moved into other positions and over time that were more operations focused, and I've just stayed there because I love it and it's what I'm really good at. Why this skill compounds over time. Early in a career, the translator role might look like a business analyst or IT support specialist or a technical support engineer who asks good questions and communicates clearly. So now I get it that not everyone has maybe this native skill, but you can develop it. You can develop this. Anyone can learn to listen. Now, you may not want to listen. You may find it boring to listen. You may think you're smarter than other people. So why would you want to listen? And that's what I see for a lot of really bright technical people. Their ego gets in the way because they're like, I don't want to have to talk to these people who they don't understand tech. They're a bunch of dopes. And so they get very heady. But for the smart person, the truly discerning person, they realize that your ability to understand the tech and clearly communicate that and be a great communicator is so valuable. And it's going to put you in an immensely fortuitous position over time. So 5 years in, it looks like a solutions engineer closing enterprise deals. 10 years in, it looks like a VP of operations or chief technology officer who shapes the entire technology strategy of a company. It's so true. Guys, I've seen it firsthand. Now, talking about developing the mindset. So let's just hit these 3 points really fast. Always ask how the business makes money. And look, by the way, it's no different than when I was doing marriage counseling. I would just come in and listen. Tell me more about that. And if you can get used to asking good questions and listening for the answers, that's how you start to develop the skill set. And by the way, your spouse will probably thank you for it as you learn the skill set. Second, designed for the end user, not for elegance. Technology that is technically perfect, but impossible for employees to use is a failure. Did you know that most of these apps, you're only using maybe 10% of the capabilities of an app, but engineers are like, oh, it's so cool, and they geek out and they're adding features and they're adding more features. The fact of the matter is none of those may be that useful or valuable. Only 10% matter. So again, for your ability to set that vision and really be able to communicate the value, then you think about it, you can redeploy those resources into new product lines, delivering even deeper in the 10% that they use. And then third, practice explaining complex things simply. Oh my goodness, guys. And let me say this. One thing that can really, really benefit you throughout your career and has benefited me is the ability to use metaphors and analogies. And I think that learning to communicate in that way will be immensely valuable because you can, for example, with a tech person, you can use an analogy or a metaphor that really speaks to them and their understanding and their background. You can then turn around and use another analogy for the business that really aligns with what they're thinking. So, for example, oftentimes you can say, well, it's like a database, guys. And when you're talking to the tech guys, and you talk about, and then when you're talking to the business people, you can say, well, it's like a licensing plan. You can talk about how you can bridge the gap using these different types of words and concepts that really resonate with the people that you're speaking to. So I would commend you to come out to here, and you can read chapter 1, the translator mindset, and then it has resources and next steps. And it has some other action items. So here in your next meeting, ask how technology decisions affect the company's revenue or costs. They'll probably fall out of their chair. Like no one ever asked that. And then practice explaining one technical concept well to a non-technical friend. And then finally, research the role of solutions engineer or business systems analyst. And then you can look at different roles and jobs and stuff out there. So here you can actually, it'll point you to LinkedIn, and you can kind of go through it that way. And then these resources I think would be really valuable. The Unicorn Project book, companion to the Phoenix Project, and it'll take you out there. And yeah, some of these you may want to consider. And really, the reason that I've built this out for people as a resource is this type of knowledge is really what's going to help you grow and enhance your career no matter where you're at. Because in today's world, everything uses technology. Get real. Everything does. Doesn't matter if you're a dentist office or if you're working in insurance or if you're working in a finance company. All of it uses tech and requires tech. So your ability to learn how to translate these things will be immensely valuable. And by the way, I do have some premium content out here. I have what's called the Intrapreneur Playbook, and I'm putting together a course that I think you'll really like. And I definitely touch on this topic. But in the essence of this course is it's just teaching you, in essence, how to be, instead of an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur is you're doing entrepreneurial work inside a company. And I think you'll find that it can be a very lucrative path for you if you care to work inside a company for a time. And I've worked inside a company my entire career, but I also have a number of entrepreneurial ventures that I do because I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge. And I just think it's good to have always multiple streams of income, investment income plus, your income from the work that you do. Those things can combine over time to put you in a very good spot. And I just think that's a good place to be. I found for myself, it's kind of interesting because when you don't require the job and you're like an entrepreneur and you're to have this owner mindset and you're trying to really take the company to new places, instead of feeling kind of like that you're a victim to the circumstances inside your company, all of a sudden you're feeling like you're driving things and you're making things happen and you're changing things. And because of that, I've really always enjoyed the companies I've worked for. And certainly there are things, it is called work after all, but I've done enough entrepreneurial adventures to know it's work also. So when people say, oh, it's great, you just live on the beach and you can do all the work from your computer. No. Yeah. While I love the concept of that, it's malarkey. And the fact of the matter is, whether you're working as an entrepreneur inside a company or an entrepreneur, running your own thing, they're hard. You're going to be putting in hard work. You're going to be developing your skill set. And honestly, I would say they're about equal. One has lots of advantages on one side and the other has advantages on the other. But I highly recommend to anyone, build your skill set as an entrepreneur inside a company. Build your skill set to the degree that it gives you options. It gives you huge options inside the company and options to move to new companies, and all of that's going to be to your benefit. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you enjoyed this. Watch for many more of these types of podcasts to come. And if you have questions, then just reply to the comments of this YouTube video, and I'll have me or my assistant will review every one and get back to you with answers. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Bye.